Hello, my name is Aiden Kistner, and this is my AFAS 160 D1 author discussion. So, for this discussion, I chose Malcolm X. So, to begin, Malcolm X's childhood, he was born on May 19th, 1925. His real birth name is Malcolm Little. He was raised in Omaha, Nebraska. And unfortunately, when he was 6 years old, his father died due to a racially motivated attack. Not too long after, his mother was institutionalized for mental health issues. So he spent most of his childhood in foster homes with his siblings, ended up dropping out of middle school, and he moved to Boston and found work on the streets. He was later sent to prison for larceny at age 21. Malcolm X's childhood was very hard, um, but this helped him learn many things from his past and to help him with his future goals. So the overall life of Malcolm X, he decided to join the Nation of Islam in prison. He legally switched his name to Malcolm X to represent his change in the Islamic faith. His harsh childhood inspired him to help in the civil rights movement. And overall, he really decided to talk against racial integration. And he really urged fellow Black Americans to protect themselves against white aggression. So, Malcolm X's achievements. He founded the newspaper for the NOI, and that was titled Muhammad Speaks. He was later placed as the minister of the temple in Boston, Massachusetts. He spoke in large crowds, and he spoke at Harvard and Oxford University. Most of these talks were about racial integration, and he tried to convince African Americans they shouldn't wait for the unpromising days of equality. He even convinced the famous boxer Muhammad Ali to join the NOI. One of his most famous speeches was the ballot or the bullet. And in this speech, the overall topic was about how African Americans should resort to arms if they white Americans do not fully cooperate with what they want, and they want full equality. So he later joined the Sunni Islam and preached racial integration and equality. And in 1964, he created the OAAU, and this is called the Organization of the Afro-American Community. So along with many achievements, he wrote many books and had many readings. One of his most famous books was the autobiography of Malcolm X, which we will getting into on the next slide. He also wrote Malcolm X Speaks, By Any Means Necessary, The End of the White World Supremacy, February 1965, and a Malcolm X on Afro-American History. So, in this reading from this book right here is the autobiography of Malcolm X. So after reading this book, I had many key takeaways and many topics that I would like to discuss about the book. So these are the things that I found that are the messages throughout his autobiography. And number one being a person does not define, the person's past does not define them in any way. And I say this because throughout Malcolm X's harsh childhood and going to prison and having a bad rep, that doesn't define him at all. He used that past in order to help him in the future and use it as passion for his civil rights movement. And this goes on to lead into harsh past turns into passion. He used his harsh childhood, all his memories in order to fuel that and make good in the world. But also, hate does create hate is another topic I found in this reading, because when the white Americans are being racist and fueling the African American community with hate, it also incites hate on the African American community to put on to the white Americans. Follow your passion and gut feeling. I chose this topic because in the autobiography, Malcolm X used to be in the NOI, and then he ended up creating the OAAU. He didn't agree with the NOI's overall message, and it was not what he wanted in life. So he decided to join and create his own uh, uh, nation. So jealousy can ruin lives. And the next slide will get onto this, but Malcolm X did pass away because of the jealous NOI members. And I'll get into that later on the next slide. But yes, jealousy can ruin lives. And then leave a mark on the future. Leave a mark for the future. I chose to say this because Malcolm X left a huge legacy for himself. And to this day, like right now, we're still talking about what he did for the civil rights movement and everything that he has done. And the overall message I got from this was people should accept themselves for who they are and not try to change for anyone. And this is geared towards the African American community in this autobiography of Malcolm X, because he incites that no one should change and to stick up for themselves. And if they do not get what they want, they should go out and get it. And this is by any means necessary. So that is the overall key takeaways I had from this autobiography of Malcolm X. So legacy after death. Unfortunately, Malcolm X was assassinated on February 21st, 1965. And this was by 3 members of the NOI when he was preparing a speech to deliver at Harlem. And so this leads back to the jealousy can ruin lives, because the 3 members did not like that he switched over to another group. And so they ended up killing him. A lot of his death was really ignored by commentators because they all called him a violent man because of his bad past and because he went to jail and all this other stuff, it was true that he had that past, but that should not be the mark that he left on the world. So after the publication of this autobiography, it really led people to know the real meaning of his life and the great impact that he had on the world. And this goes to show that a person's past does not define his future, and that anyone can do anything they want if they put their mind to it. So this is my overall presentation on Malcolm X. This is just my works cited and the sources that I have used for this author discussion. Thank you very much.